moments. Let's do it.
Yes, yes, 100%. All right, so let's see. Oops. Back. Oops. There we go. All right. We're gonna kick this off. Let me know if you have any questions, but welcome everyone. Thank you for attending Dashboard Detox, how to build reporting that drives revenue. And before we get into the next slide, I just want to say just today, I was actually invited to 3 different webinars that addresses this exact thing. So I'm sure that you've all been hit up with a lot of different reporting type of webinars and how important it is, especially in 2025 and in the age of AI. So thank you for attending today. I just want to do a quick, here we go, introduction. Again, the 2 speakers you're going to hear from today are Grant. Grant is an analytics consultant, an entrepreneur, and just an overall wealth of knowledge when it comes to this space, attribution reporting, really getting that true ROI out of things. My name is Abby Hill. I'm the VP of Marketing at Leadus, and I would say a connoisseur of all the things not to do when it comes to reporting and what leadership really wants to see and what we're going to be focusing on today. So first and foremost, I just want to share with everyone kind of like let's level set here. What does reporting look like? And why is it not working? And I just addressed the fact that everyone seems to be talking about this is that what tools are available? How do you do more with less? How do you make sure that what you're reporting on, people are actually paying attention to and where that information is coming from? And is it stuck in a data warehouse? How do you bring it in? Is it something that is more of a single source of truth? Is everybody using the same thing? So we'll kind of address a little bit of that today, kind of go in some of those best practices. But one of the reasons why the dashboards and the reporting aren't working, as you can see here, 2 very confusing examples of some reports that you've seen, and we've all been guilty of it. I have as well, is the more bar charts and the more line graphs and the more I call them the fuel gauges and things like that, the more the better, right? Because now we're showing in a visual way the things that we're doing from a marketing perspective. And I think what we'll show you today is kind of the challenges that we see with that and why not everything is important to report on. It might be important to us or someone on our team, but really looking at who the audience is and what the message and the story is that we're telling. And just some of the issues just kind of across the board here is sometimes as marketers, again, I'm guilty of it as well. We focus on vanity metrics, like that, those open rates and the click throughs and, who's clicking on my CTA. Oftentimes that doesn't always get all the way down the funnel or really lead to kind of top line and bottom line revenue lift that organizations are really looking for now is that we were previously kind of in that stage of activity and knowing that the activity is going to lead to something. But in 2025, activity for the sake of activity just isn't providing the right growth in the momentum that we're looking for. So some of these reports always, oftentimes, excuse me, require a lot of heavy lift and manual effort. And oftentimes, as marketers, we see that not all the data lives in the same spot. And so sometimes we have to bring things into one area. And if you're not using tools like Tableau or Salesforce or Domo or things like that, where that are kind of aggregating that data, that can be challenging. And on the flip side of that is just because you have the data doesn't mean that you're bringing in the right data. And that how do you tell that story then? So from a sales, marketing, ops perspective, sometimes that bringing things into that single source of truth is what's really going to help us. So a quick poll, and I just feel free to put it in the chat or send me a direct message uh, if you want to feel or if you want to answer this. But I think we kind of know. But what's your biggest reporting frustration right now? And I think we kind of know, but is it too much data, too little insight? Stakeholders don't trust the numbers, or is there just no time to build or maintain dashboards? And Grant and I were talking earlier, and I think we would raise our hand to all 3 of these in some way, shape, or form. All of these are very frustrating for us. And so I'm seeing some of the direct messages here, but just too much data, too little insight seems to be kind of the key winner here. So we're going to address that, which is wonderful news today. So I am going to throw this over to Grant here. He's going to take us kind of through some of the before and afters and really breaking it down of what really matters in this space and why we want to tell that story and bring the data to life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm excited to talk to everyone. Grant, I've been doing marketing analytics consulting, both as a consultant, both in-house as an analyst, as a marketing ops person for over 10 years, and I've seen all sorts of dashboards. And I was actually looking at LinkedIn yesterday, and there was a lot of talk about ChatGPT and HubSpot. Did you guys see that? They did it, guys. They connected the two. They took HubSpot and then they took ChatGPT and they just smushed it together. Just let it run wild inside of HubSpot. And I was excited about it because in the demo, they were just like asking, like, what's the, who are our best customers? And show me the ops stages that take the longest. And he was just like answering question after question after question. I was like, my God, we don't need to do this webinar anymore because we did it, we did it. And then this morning, I was looking at Slack at one of the communities, and the person was like, I hooked it up. I guess it works already. I guess you can already try it if you have HubSpot. He's like, I was asking it some basic questions about how much money we made and churn and stuff like that, and he was getting it very wrong. Am I the only one? And I was like, oh, of course. It's not that simple. You can't just let a language learning model into your CRM or into your marketing automation system and expect it to just get the right context, know where to look. I mean, right? I I don't know. It's wild, wild west out there. But meanwhile, we still have a job to do. We still have to do dashboards because it's not there yet. They're cooking it, they're working on it, but we still have to do a competent job of showing numbers to the rest of our team. So how do we do that? So this is an example. We just wanted to do a quick like walkthrough of a dashboard that we get, and then how we think about rearranging things. So I'll talk about dashboard design a little bit, just strictly from practitioner's point of view, what I think about. And I'll also show 3 actual dashboards. So with a webinar, it's always tough because like actual dashboards really depend on each company. Some companies have no visibility into things like pipeline. And so, you get what you get in terms of dashboards. Other companies have very deep data sets that connect leads to all sorts of things. So it really depends. But we gave our best shot at showing you 3 actual dashboards and how to put them together and how I think about them. So here's an example of a marketing funnel dashboard, and it has decent things in it. So if you look at the top, it's like leads, how many were generated, conversion rate, how many need follow-up. So it's like we've got some leads coming in. We want to know how they're converting, which ones are not converted, how many meetings we have. But what I don't like about this dashboard is if I was new to the team, or if I was just a casual visitor to this dashboard, maybe once a quarter only, I really have to take the time to reorient myself to figure out like where is what, because there's a little bit of a pattern, like lead stuff is at the top, the meeting stuff is at the bottom. So I can kind of navigate my way, but it's pretty inconsistent. The chart types, I guess I have pie charts only on the bottom and bar charts at the top. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. So what I wanted to do is show, next page, an example of a marketing funnel dashboard that we work on. This is from a customer example from Salesforce dashboard, like a Lightning Salesforce dashboard for a lead funnel dashboard. I like it way better, not only because I was the one who made it, and obviously I like it for that reason, but also because, guys, it's organized. It's like in a grid system. And we've got funnel going from top to bottom. We've got leads, MQLs, and those are not like for the presentation. Those are labels that you make for your dashboard. Huge fan of big labels and lots of words on dashboards. So with the lightning dashboards, you can put lots of words. You can put a whole tile just with words. Do that. It's actually very helpful for your users. Um, and there's even a link to another dashboard that's kind of like, if you like this, you like this other dashboard. Um, but I like it, have it be organized by funnel stage. So it's got the top to bottom. And then the columns are the different types of metrics that you might want in a funnel dashboard. So like, do we have enough leads coming in from the top? How is that changing month over month? Once we get enough data in here, you'll see like a nice progression of which funnel stage is increasing or decreasing. How are they converting to the next stage? So from leads to MQLs or MQLs to some SALs or whatever. Um, and that's kind of that's what it looks like to redesign a dashboard. Also, there's a lot more data, and it's much more complete because we've got every KPI for every stage, but we managed to organize it in a non-confusing way.
Grant, I just got a private message question, and to
Yeah,
everyone, as
please.
if you have questions, please feel free to send them to me privately or to the group. But this question says, I have Marketo, but I don't have Visible. Can I get this dashboard that you're showing without Visible into my Marketo integration?
Yes, this dashboard does not use Visible at all. It just uses Salesforce stuff. It's just got leads. Now, the key to making this dashboard work is date stamps, because you want to know and having a good life cycle thought through. So like, when does a lead become a lead? When does an MQL become an MQL? So you need your MQL dates stamped on those leads and contacts. You need some discipline around process with your team around like who's going to work the lead. How does that get flipped, and how do we know the date on which you started working it? Maybe there's nurture, maybe there's it can get more complicated. But this is the other thing I like about this is that we can use color. Salesforce lets you use color to designate whether we're on track or not. So you can make the numbers red to indicate that. Yes, thank you. Let's go to the next page. So let's talk more generally. That was an example for fun. We'll actually come back to the funnel dashboard, so I'll get to talk about it more. So what we want, what I usually recommend when we do a dashboard reset is like really organizing around our North Star. What is our goal? What is the primary thing that we're all here to deliver? And these days, very often, the answer is qualified pipeline. I mean, right? Revenue marketers, all that kind of stuff. But quality pipeline is the most direct, most common thing that we see in B2B marketing organizations as the thing that the team is tasked to deliver. It could be number of meetings, it could be revenue. Companies change all. It could be net new logos. Sometimes it changes, but in this example, we're going to talk about qualified pipeline. And so what we're going to do is try to use the word qualified pipeline in every single dashboard that we make, because that's what we're there to do, right? And so we're not going to talk about other things. Everything is going to lead to first of all, do we have enough of it? Does the company have enough of it? Are we helping get it? When we do get leads, how do they technically turn into qualified pipeline? Like, is our lead to qualified pipeline working? And then for each member of the marketing team who are doing different campaigns, how are they contributing to the qualified pipeline? That will be how we organized our dashboard. So are we on track? B, is our leads turning into pipeline? And C, how is everyone contributing to qualified pipeline? Okay, and so at each stage along the way, we're always going to be referencing. Next page.
I just to piggyback off of that, Grant, too, is that this decision filter that we're applying, which is what decision does this help make? We just need to be as marketers considering the story that we're telling. And so I would even say a precursor to what decision does this help me make, these numbers, this data, is what does success look like? Start at the end and then work your way backward and identify what is actually showing the lift. throughout
Yep.
the efforts, throughout the campaigns, throughout the strategical components and the execution, the tactics that you're performing at you and your team. Because if you can start at the end, you can tie that back to the goals of the organization and tie that into the goals of the marketing department, or if you're a team of one, to what you're doing, but ultimately telling that story. And one of the questions I have on this too, Grant, that I'd love to hear your feedback on that was submitted to me was, what happens if you are in an organization that has established reporting that might be considered, I think you meant vanity metrics. How do you fight
Mm,
that with the leadership that is already expecting those, and they're not, they might be frustrated, as I'm kind of piggybacking off of your question here, but they might be frustrated
yeah.
with the data they're seeing because they're not seeing true lift. So what recommendation would you have, Grant, to someone who's trying to I don't want to say fight that, but educate internally at the leadership level?
I mean, I'm surprised that they wouldn't have it. So I would want to know like why. There's many reasons why. Like sometimes I've worked with, like an example is I've worked with a medical device company, and the way that they sell, they just can't tie, because they advertise, and then at some point, some sort of a hospital consortium buys some medical devices. There's no way to connect the two dots, other than just, I guess, by time. We did a campaign, and a little bit later, some stuff got sold. And so they have to focus on something else. So in that case, I'm like, fine, like you're forgiven. Let's do engaged audience, and that's our North Star, because we just can't have it just based on the way that this is designed. But otherwise, if you're selling widgets or software or whatever that you can connect to, I would start to maybe sprinkle in some business outcomes, um, into your reporting, and see if that elevates the conversation away from arts and crafts of marketing to the kind of the business of marketing. All right, I can't. We won't have time to get into it. You probably have these slides, right? So I've got a lot of detail about what to include or not to include. But if we want to show the next slide, um, I put together an example of a pipeline dashboard. And really the elements here are, modern dashboards have pretty much this layout. And we use a tool to kind of design dashboards when we're working with clients, to design them on paper first before actually committing it to code, whether that's on Salesforce or in Domo or whatever. But it's really helpful to, even if you just use PowerPoint, like little grid thing, it's really helpful to kind of mock it up first and see if it's going to work for you. But this example, so we've got filters at the top, we've got KPI layer, and then we have slicing and dicing, I like to call it. So the KPI layer is like, do we have enough pipeline versus some sort of a target? I want to know the dollar amount and the number of deals, and therefore the deal size. Those are the basics. You got to know that for your company overall. And by the way, this isn't marketing created. I want to know it for the whole company. And then down at the one of the slice and dice boxes, I've got, where is it coming from? Maybe it's coming from marketing, or it's influenced by marketing, or sourced by marketing. Get into that debate on a different webinar. But your contribution. So think of it like a pyramid, right? There's the whole company target, then there's your organization, your marketing's contribution, and then everybody individually within marketing contributing to it. I want to tell that whole story. We are all behind because, and our contribution is this, or we are all on track, but we seem to be falling behind our targets, or whatever it is. I want to see the full picture and then break it down to the each individual team member's level. Next page.
And I think it's really helpful on this slide too, the color coding, as you can see. The green, obviously, if you think about a stoplight, green means go, yellow means maybe caution, we should address this, and red means that we're not
Totally.
performing.
Totally. And I like to make a pipeline dashboards that's simple like that for marketing team, that's separate from the sales team, because they go really deep.
Yep.
The RevOps team or whatever, they have all sorts of bells and whistles. Sometimes it's too much. And
Yep.
so funnel performance, next slide. We kind of already talked about it. Huge component of this grid table system. The three key metrics you want to have are volume, conversion rate, and velocity. Like how long does it take to go in between stages? And up on your filters at the top, you want to have something like a time frame, this month or last month. Um, and you want these to be cohorted, by which I mean you want the stage twos to come from stage ones. So the filters at the top usually just control stuff that's at the stage one. So when did you enter stage one? What happened to them? Um, Show me things only for Americas in last quarter. And I want to see how that funnel happened. And then that way I can compare. I can say last quarter from last year, Americas versus APAC or whatever it is, then I can compare. And again, I would love to have an indication of versus target. It's easier for volume. Like, did we have enough leads? Did we have enough MQLs? But I'd love to have some expectations around conversion rate and expectations around velocity as well. Usually there's some sort of an Excel model that somebody has that you can then pepper your dashboards with those assumptions.
I just got another question here, Grant. So these number, and I'll paraphrase this one, but
Yeah.
essentially what they're asking is that with these areas with the percentage increase or decrease, that's really showing
Mhm.
growth or momentum. The question is, how do you establish what that baseline is so you know if you're going up or down? And I think they're implying that maybe they don't have a lot of standards at
Right.
their company. So maybe just address that, if you will.
Two ways with increasing level of sophistication. One is just look at the past. So if you're ever not sure, you can always try to play, are we doing better than we did ourselves in the past? So maybe look at this dashboard, take the filter to say last year or something, look at the numbers, just write them down. And then those are your new KPIs. Can you beat them? Can you make the conversion better? Can you make the velocity shorter? Um, that's one way. A more sophisticated, way better way that's more realistic is somebody at the company, that maybe that person is you, has an Excel spreadsheet with the model of how you go from leads to pipeline. A lot of times it's something like a funnel. This we're gonna spend this much money, bring in this many leads, they're gonna be the right person, the right company, and then we're gonna talk to them in a meeting, and then the demo, and then deal, right? And they have and so those assumptions in that spreadsheet are your goals for this dashboard, so that when you start to slip, you can raise the flag and say, hey, everyone, we're not going to meet our targets 6 months from now because we're already behind the model. I want something like that. Marketing performance. So now we're in the frame of mind of a specific marketing initiative. And here, again, I'm starting with a number of leads or number of people or campaign members who were impacted by a specific campaign. And maybe there's like a filter for different campaigns. So you can like say trade show or Google Ads or whatever, you can just pick your campaign and it should just populate. And I want to see how many of those people insert funnel. How did they progress down the funnel since the campaign happened? When you first do a campaign, a lot of these numbers will be zero. Your cost metrics will be terrible. But as time progresses, I want to see those numbers start to, improve. You can set expectation there too. But you had the velocities, right? So you know how long it will take. So if you come visit this dashboard a week after the trade show, it would look terrible. But hey, it takes 6 months. We'll come back here 6 months from now to truly judge this campaign. So those are the type of numbers that are in this one.
And I think to add to this, to the campaign side, I think at the beginning of the webinar, I was talking about not all the numbers matter for everybody. I think it's still really important as a marketing leader to know kind of what's happening within your own house, within your own department, because the funnel dashboard and the pipeline dashboard really elevate the marketer to think big and big picture for the organization and where that lift is. But then this is where you're going to get a little bit more granular and see the lift that
Mhm.
you're continuing to provide, maybe on a day-to-day, weekly basis, that is ultimately contributing to that top line and bottom line revenue contribution for the organization.
Totally, totally. So as a bonus, one tactical thing that we like to pitch and is often very popular with clients is this idea of win-loss analysis. Sometimes it's called deal story, deal analysis, but it's looking at a deal at a time. So even with clients who have like vendors like Visible or whatever that have like lots of dashboards and lots of tools, we say, let's start with a single deal. Can we break down? Can we go look at a recent win? Talk to your sales team and ask for a recent win. Go look at that closed won report and let's just like geek out on it. Let's see who was a part of it. Well, what did they do? Can we get all the data for just that one deal? We have lots of vendors at Marketo's Opportunity Influence Analyzer is the old school way of doing it. There's many other vendors that do. Visible is great at it. Lots of other, and then we've had clients who build it out in a BI tool, like you see here, where it's like a chart that shows all the different interactions that led up to an opportunity. Next slide. Oh, did we skip over? I think there was, maybe we did skip over it.
I
That's okay.
thought there was one.
There's one book for it with all the takeaways for the deal story, but maybe
Sorry,
not.
I messed this up. Oh,
It's okay.
okay.
It
Sorry
was
about that.
basically basically me saying those are best delivered as slides. So usually people want to have like a one slider that's about the deal. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Sorry, my apologies. I don't know
And
how.
hey, no worries. And thank you for controlling the presentation while I just order you around. I just listed for you guys to take away later. There's a lot to unpack about each deal. You know, how big was the deal? Who was the customer? What industry were they in? How big was the customer? Why did we win? Why did they buy? You know, all the medic and Gantt, all the reasons, all the qualifications, who was there, who was the champion, who was the decision maker, what did marketing do? Did they attend the wine tasting? All of those questions should be in that deal story. Executives love deal stories. They love to show it to their investors and everybody else because it shows how we win and maybe even how we lose. Oh, we would have been so great, but we lost in the last minute, but that's okay because we were at bat and we could have, you know, next time. So we have so much to say with all the data that we have. It's really, I really want you guys to think about the packaging. Who is it for? When? And make it easier for them in terms of the the design and the layout. And then make sure that they feel like they're contributing to this like bigger business goal and that they know how they're contributing to it. Those are the key takeaways from this presentation.
Perfect. And just to be sensitive to everyone's time, I apologize. I know we've had some questions throughout. If you do have any additional questions, unfortunately, we've run out of time for the Q&A portion of this webinar, but feel free to send them to myself or to Grant. We will follow up with an email with all of the information here. You just you'll get the ability to download the reporting clarity toolkit, the reporting clarity guide, post attribution growth playbook, and I'll send you the presentation that you see here today, and as well as the recording. And in terms for next steps here, just feel free to download what we've got. Let us know if you have any questions or feedback. We're always open to feedback. If you want to take the next step, feel free to reach out to us and book a reporting audit or a strategy call. We're happy to help. And make sure if you're not already, subscribe to our marketing campaigns. You'll get a follow-up email, so just let us know if you want to do if you want to hear more from us. Again, contact information here is info@Leadus, or my name is Abby Hill, so my email address is abbieh@Leadus, and Grant's is grantg@Leadus as well. Feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. Again, I apologize for the lack of Q&A, but thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you on our next webinar.
Thanks, everyone.